All right, I'm happy to be joined by three young men, Justin, Tommy, and Mark. I'm the old guy here, but I feel like we could start like a boy band, and I just be the old guy. Like I could be like Joey Fatone of the group. But these young guys are from the New York area, like myself, and I've gotten to know them a little bit, and they've got an app and a marketplace platform for breaking Card Crusade, and like I told them, I always enjoy seeing young folks, doing big things and making it happen, and so promised them I'd have them on, talk a little bit more about what they've created and what they're doing. So, welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank
Thanks, John.
you.
How
Thank you
are
for
you?
having us on.
All right, no one's saying
Absolutely.
definitely not me. So let's put that one to bed. But what I want to do here first, just so we can kind of individually kind of go around. I'll say your name. Just kind of give whatever you want to share with those listening, where you're from, how you got into the hobby, that sort of thing. A little bit of the background. Then we'll get right into what you guys are doing and have done already. So I'll just go in order on the screen here. Justin.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having us on. My name is Justin. I'm one of the three co-founders here, and I've been collecting. Actually, I'm sure I fit into the group of most people. When I was younger, maybe 8, 10 years old, I was collecting Yu-Gi-Oh. That was like my big thing. And then when we moved, of course, I said, I don't need those cards, right? Just throw them in the trash. And 10, 15 years later, I'm wishing I held on to them. But I got back in. I'm super big into sports now, particularly basketball. That's what I like to collect. And that's kind of another reason why this venture started with the three of us. I'm originally from Yonkers, New York, so anybody over on the East Coast near New York, you probably know where that is. But I now live in Colorado, down in Denver.
Yeah,
So that's just a little bit about me. I'll let the rest of the guys tell you about them.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yonkers. Before Yonkers, I'm familiar with there's a horse racetrack there
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
local people know about. I've put a few bucks and watched those horses go around the track. But
There you
Fortunately, I
go.
moved. I moved before I could go there.
we'll go clockwise. Mark, go ahead.
yeah. So thanks for having us, John. Again, it definitely is a pleasure to be on your show. But yeah, for us, we all grew up together. I myself, I started actually early on as a Pokemon collector, and I wish somebody just took my cards away from me at an early age because I'm pretty sure I was scraping half of them against asphalt, and no one knew how much they'd be worth someday. So yeah, but I, I probably started collecting around the age of 4 or 5 years old. I remember my dad taking me to card shows at the Westchester County Center, which is a New York guy. You're
Yeah.
local, so that's I believe the Knicks G League team played there for a while. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, ever since then, I've been a basketball, primarily basketball and football collector. I definitely did have my stages with baseball, but I can't really consider myself a true collector in the baseball space. I did stray in and out over the years, so I would definitely say my passion is really football and basketball when it comes to collecting. But that being said, yeah, it's since I've been 4 or 5 years old, I fell in love with this hobby. I love sports in general, so this was always a way to connect with some of my buddies. Speaking of cards that kind of fell under the mat at this point in the game, but I remember playing MLB Showdown, the game that you rolled the dice and you played those games with your buddies at the local town pool. So it's definitely been a career and a widespread itinerary for me when it comes to collecting. But I've definitely had my fair share, and I love this hobby.
Awesome, awesome. Hey,
Yeah.
last but not least, Tommy.
Yep. Say the best for last. But one of the other three co-founders, Tommy, also from Westchester, New York. We all grew up together. But before I met these two guys, I started collecting, I'd say, late elementary school from summer camp. I actually got my hands on a Mo Lewis. I think it was a McDonald's Mo Lewis cutout card, and I'm unfortunately a diehard Jets fan. So that kind of started it there. I also love the Yankees. My dad was a huge baseball card collector when he was growing up. Got some hand-me-downs from him, and it kind of started from there. I started collecting Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And like Mark said, I wish I knew the value on it because I was putting cards into spokes of my bicycle tires during the summer to try to sound like a dirt bike. And now it's definitely very regretful. But it really went on and off, kind of as a hobby, got a little quiet. And I think with most people, it started back up with the resurgence of COVID. I started to see prices spike back up. People flooding the stores to get retail wax. And that really sparked it again for me for the last year and a half or 2 years, where I really, really picked up again. And, the three of us started and we've got this app going.
Yeah, let's thanks, Tim. Let's talk about that. Like the app's Card Crusade.
Yep.
You were nice enough to kind of reach out to me and share it in its early stages and say, hey,
Yeah.
we're fans of yours. We kind of want to talk about this. Maybe when we get closer to fruition with it. You've arrived with the app. But before we get to where you are, I got a little bit of this background in talking to you, but obviously for those listening to the show, they don't know yet. And so kind of tell us how this kind of got off the ground, whose idea was it, how did it get started? In other words, how'd you get, from point A to point B where you are today?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
So Justin, I'll give him the credit. Justin reached out to Tommy and myself one day, and he was like, "Listen, guys, like we're all business oriented. This actually started out in our stock trading group chat, where it really just came to, hey, listen, like this, what's something that we're passionate about that we wouldn't mind working on every day, right?" And I think that's kind of why we were so passionate about it for so long, because it didn't start out as just like a business, right? It was what's something we care about that we don't have to pay attention to like we do our day jobs, and what do we enjoy to do, right? So he reached out. He's like, let's come up with a platform. The idea kind of started out as a full-scale social market platform for sports cards, right? Let's look at eBay, all their fees, and the problems that the collecting community has with eBay, right? On the other end, you look at different marketplaces and the way that the community is able to interact with each other regarding, trading, buying, auctioning, whatever it is. We felt like, there's a lot of holes in what's available to the consumer right now, right? But then we looked at each other, we're like, who are we kidding? We're not going to just take out eBay,
I wish you would.
Right?
Somebody has to, right?
So, I'll give the credit to Tommy. Tommy's like, listen, guys, what's a niche part of this market that really needs work? And that's where we decided to focus in on group breaks. So we looked at what was out there right now. You have Instagram, you have eBay. There's a lot of pain points, right? Out of that payments. There's no the live streams on Instagram or Buggy. You're constantly asking people like, what's your address? As a breaker, your DMs are cluttered with last week's breaks and trying to get people's payment info, their Venmo, their shipping address. That you're going on Excel and then running a randomizer. It's really messy, right? And then you even have the guys that are super traditional that are taking a sheet of white paper and they're sitting in their live trying to get a break filled for 20 minutes before they could even get it going, right? So we took these pain points into consideration and we're like, okay, let's attack group breaks, right? Our plan, long term is to get into that full scale social market platform. So kind of like Instagram meets eBay. So you have all the buying capabilities, whether it's a buy it now or an auction. But you also have that aspect where the community is allowed to, just talk about the hobby and really get involved and not have all that card related stuff convoluted with the other stuff that you find on Instagram. So, we kind of wanted to make this a space specifically for the card collecting community. And I must say that is our vision long term, is to stay with card collecting. But that's kind of how we started to gear towards specifically group breaks.
Yeah.
So when when you came up with this sort of idea, when was it? So how long did this take from thought to
Oh man. I, I
existence?
I think Justin shot that initial social marketplace platform idea. I want to say
It
February
was
or March,
yeah, it was about
right?
Mark.
And then as we're kind of doing the research of how to approach this, I think we transitioned into group breaks in April or May. Mark, Justin, right? If you
Yeah,
correct me if
I,
I'm wrong.
it was probably about May.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
worked
then
on it for a good couple months, Tom, for sure.
yeah, kind of getting to all the wireframe and the skeleton of it ready. And then, I think we went in under development, I'd say June or July timeframe, early June, I want to say, officially under development. And, we launched early last month, October 4th. So it's definitely been a process, but it's been fun. And, it's just the beginning. So we're just getting started and we're looking forward to it.
So, does anyone have a computer or the programming background? Where does that come from?
Yeah, so it's definitely not traditional. Neither of us are that technical background. Luckily, we've made some connections. Like Mark said, we've all been pretty business savvy. I don't know if savvy is the right word, but we've just always been involved in this space. And so we actually had a couple connections that were able to put us in touch with developers who were great to work with. These guys, they're amazing. They're definitely skillful. And so we've been working with them ever since. And we're hoping to make that continue, but it's unfortunate that neither of us are that technical guy, but we got lucky and found a good group of guys to help us out.
Yeah, and this is an idea. You said February, right? This kind of the thought hatched, and here we are in late November, and I mean this thing is for real. That's impressive. I mean, you hear a lot of times with these same sort of stories, whether not I'm not even talking hobby stuff, but any sort of launch of apps or sometimes you hear that taking 2 to 3 years from thought mode to actual
Mm-hmm.
substance, and
Yeah,
so that's fast track. That's
for sure.
kudos
Absolutely.
to you guys.
John,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
must say,
we we I feel like I'm stealing Mark's thunder here, but
no, you got it. You got it. Do your thing.
so when you're building an app, you're supposed to have an MVP, minimum viable product, and it's supposed to be really simple, not all the craziest features, just something to get to market quickly. And
Yeah.
we thought we were building an MVP, and then when it came time to launch, we realized, well, we have in-app live streams, we have in-app auto-populated shipping labels, in-app randomizer. We have a little bit more than an MVP here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's part of the reason the process took so long is because we kept adding little features here and there, which at the end of the day, I think, I speak for all of us that we're very glad we did that, because by the
Yeah.
time we launched, we were able to launch with a good product that we were happy with. And
Yeah.
now at this point, it's just making it better. But I think that long process of building it was useful just for us to learn that process, right?
For sure.
Absolutely.
I got to ask you guys. I've had folks on the show before that have came up with either whether it be a platform or a product, and I always sort of ask this question because everyone sees something get invented or created, and they think it's the easiest thing in the world that
Yeah.
everyone can do it.
For
And
sure.
I'm not trying to be a dream crusher either. Like if you have an idea, go for it.
Yeah.
But I don't think people realize until you do something yourself, you realize how difficult it actually can be, which makes it all the more satisfying when it's done. Can you talk a little bit about as quick as it did get off the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Were there moments along the way where either maybe like I don't know if this is going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
some points of difficulty?
Well, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So it actually happened pretty early on, and it was almost a fire drill. We had our first developer, and stuff kind of fell through. It wasn't the right timing for either of us, and next thing you know, it was like 2 weeks into development, and then we're without a developer. So here we are. We went public saying we're under development, and then we have no more developers. So it's just a straight fire drill. And this is where we kind of turned up the gears, locked in another developer. He's been great, and he produces products for us. But through these last months, we've been on calls, doing research, paperwork, everything on the back end, almost every night. And I think like Justin said before, it's been very satisfying, and definitely worth it. Just kind of seeing the product in front of us right now.
Yeah, and John, I would just to add to Tommy, he touched on it. The calls we've been on, that's kind of what drove our progress, right? Instead of taking this and making this product or what we wanted to deliver to the collecting community about ourselves, we actually spent countless hours and turned to the community itself. I can't even tell you how many calls we've been on with breakers, buyers, people that just want to be a part of the community, people that have tech backgrounds, and really kind of taken a collection of all their ideas and tried to deliver a product that, when we saw obstacles and we didn't really know the answer, we took their input into consideration and helped that decide what we wanted to do. Right. So, I really think I could speak for all of us and say that we're confident in, this product was built by collectors for collectors. That's something we try to stand by. And, it wasn't just our idea. This took a lot of input from some of the biggest names in the industry, the breaking community specifically. And that's kind of what got us through those hurdles, those what ifs, this company is so big, how can we catch up? It was like, let's just stay in our lane. Let's focus on what we know. And let's just deliver what we want first to the hobby rather than thinking about a business and how we're going to compete against these big players.
Yeah. And full disclosure, to be honest with you, we had, I believe it was a Zoom call some months back. And you asked me, my thoughts or some things I'd like to see or not see. Hopefully you didn't listen. But you did ask me, and I appreciated that. But I think it goes to show you, like you just said, Mark, that you care about the hobby, you care about what people want and don't want to see, to get that feedback and try to put that in place. And that's obviously your consumer. So why wouldn't you want to? You see a lot of companies. And I'm not talking about just even apps or platforms, but even companies in the hobby in general, where it's just about that S with the two lines through it, right? And they don't ask for the, what people want, or hey, what do you need us to do?
Yeah.
And so when you hear that any kind of entrepreneurial effort is cares or concern, it's refreshing. So kudos to you guys there as well.
Yeah, we appreciate that. One of the big things, for us, like Mark said, we're not breakers, we're not the sellers. So that's where, we talk to dozens of, big breakers, kind of just, what are your problems? What are some of the things that you struggle with Instagram that you wish were better? And that really helped us build out that seller side. But I think, the buyer side, that's really who this was built for. We built it so that as a buyer, you're not on Instagram scrolling through 20, 30 live streams, trying to find a product that you actually want to buy into. So that's kind of, what helped us build this is our unique perspective on the buyer side, because that's who we are at the end of the day. And so, we built in a chat in the live stream, right? It's important for people to communicate. We built in a filter feature where you can filter by sport, you can filter by price. Do you want pick your teams, pick your divisions, random teams? You can filter by all of that. And then also, obviously, just having that search feature. This way, if you're looking for, NBA optic, right? You can find it easily. You're not scrolling forever to try and find an optic break. And so, it's been a great process for us, just getting that feedback and constantly iterating and making it better based off what the community tells us.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm a breaker and I want to, I'm not, but just we're playing hypotheticals here.
You could be a breaker for us, John.
That's too late for that's too late for me. But But is there a vetting process? Like, do you kind of
Yeah.
do,
For
I
sure.
hate to say a background check, but in a sense,
Yeah.
a background check to make sure, that who you're letting on as a seller, in a sense, is above board and
Hmm.
that way to prevent future issues potentially from occurring.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was kind of one of the problems we saw from Instagram is untrustworthy breakers. A lot of people are getting scammed because new people coming in buying breaks, they don't know who to go to, or they're trying out new people, and unfortunately they get scammed. So we had a big application process. Um, Prior to launching, we had almost 90 applications, and we kind of sorted through that data, and we took it all in, and we kind of chose the best ones who was most credible, and we actually had one-on-one meetings, kind of like how we did when we first initially met. It was the three of us. It was that breaker. We want to put a face to who's behind that page, and really get to know them personally, and make sure they're good to break on this app, because as an early stage platform, it's already hard to gain that trust, and then now they're coming on a platform probably trying out a new breaker, and they have to be able to trust it. And so it kind of starts right there. That first protection layer started with us as in vetting through these breakers, really digging through these applications, making sure we've got the right guys, and kind of setting these policies in place of, if anything happens and goes wrong, they're kind of done from the app. But luckily we haven't had that yet, because we do think we picked some very good, incredible breakers in the community, and we're pretty happy with this so far.
Yeah, that's big. That's important. That's, I think, the worst thing
Yeah.
that can happen is and the sad part about it, technically, if something like that was to happen, it's technically not even your own fault. It's someone else's unscrupulous or wrong behavior, if you will.
Sure.
But
Mhm.
obviously it'll reflect badly on you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So the fact
Yeah,
that you're vetting
absolutely.
these people, kind of feeling them out, getting to know them a little bit before they're allowed to represent Card Crusade, and I mean, that's just, I think, just smart, and it's good that you're doing that. Again, people slip through, the cracks. I still
Mhm.
don't think it's always going to be a platform form's fault, right? People get through TSA at the airport
For sure.
with stuff
Mhm.
too, and they're doing their job. It's just you always, it's almost impossible to catch everything. So, but the fact that you're doing that due diligence, I mean, just is important and good to hear. So when
Absolutely.
did the app launch officially?
I believe it was October 4th.
Yes.
So
Mm,
we're coming
Yep.
up on 2 months, which is crazy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So for those that don't know, that we can make this a little commercial inside the interview. What is Sell Card Crusade? I mean, you know what this. I mean, it's live, it's real. But
Yeah.
what, for those listening, explain it to them if they don't know or haven't used it yet, what it is and what it entails.
Yeah, John. I mean, so that's for us. Those are the kind of people that we want on our platform, right? We want people to get introduced to group breaking through our platform because, in our opinion, we feel like we make it easy for them, right? As of now, like we said, Instagram has, you know, a bunch of kinks. If you're just a collector and you're not really sure about breaking, you just hop in a live and it's a bunch of dudes going crazy on a Thursday night over some guy ripping a pack open, and you're not really sure what's going on, right? So, what Card Crusade is it's a group breaking platform for both buyers and sellers, right? What we do is we just facilitate the transaction. We allow buyers to find breaks that they want to buy into, and we allow sellers to broadcast and show their product and put them out in whatever format it may be, whether it's a pick your team, random team, pick your division, or so many different formats of different group breaks. Um, we have different features. Justin mentioned the filter option. It allows buyers to not have to click through all the people they follow on Instagram to find a product that they're looking for. So this benefits both buyers and sellers or breakers in this situation. Um, breakers, obviously, at this point, a lot of what we said to them is they're going to get a whole new group of buyers that they don't see on Instagram. We find that Instagram is that place where, each breaker has a loyal following, and that seems to be the same consistent group of guys that are buying into it, but they're not getting exposure into the other aspects of the buying market. So we think that these filter options will allow for a breaker to come on our platform and get those buyers that are kind of just looking around for the product that they want, right? So yeah, back to your question about what is Card Crusade. It's a group breaking platform that allows people to just come into a platform that they've never, had the opportunity with Instagram. Teams are just organized. It's a description. It explains how a box is going to be broken, what they get out of it, what's going to be mailed. And, for a breaker, they have shipping labels automated. They don't have to worry about users' addresses or payment information. They could hop on. They set their schedule for the week. They hop on. Buyers log on at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night when it's scheduled for. They watch the break and everything's right there. So, it's really just a simplified process to group breaking.
How many at the time of this interview? How many different breakers are on the platform?
Yeah, right now we have, I believe it's 5 breakers. We
four right now.
Four. Yeah,
Four.
so we want to add more,
Yeah.
right? But you also got to understand, for the breakers, it's a business at the end of the
Yeah.
day. For although they might be in the hobby, they're still spending God knows thousands of dollars to host these breaks.
Yeah.
So as we build up the buyers and the sellers, we can grow the platform together. But we do have 4 breakers right now, and like Tom said, they've all been vetted by us. So we think we got a good group of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are the future? I mean, what you can share. I don't want you to give away, the secret sauce either. But what are you're 2 months in here. You're in the early inning. You're in the first inning, truthfully.
Yeah.
What any future plans? Have you thought that far ahead? Like what you want to do, add on to what you're already doing?
Yeah. I'll just start it off, and then I'll let you go, Tommy. But
No, you're good.
we pride ourselves on getting feedback from the community, the users, and iterating on that feedback. And one of the biggest things we've gotten is, why are you not on Android? Right. So of course, it's a lot easier and quicker to launch on one than it is on both. So we chose Apple, but rest assured, the next big milestone for us is getting on Android. And then I'll let Tommy talk about some of our other, roadmap over the next few years. But I do want to just let anyone know that's listening, we are coming to Android. We have heard you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of our first immediate steps, like Justin said, we really take into account this feedback, and we're still doing it. We encourage people on the platform to give us positive or harsh critique about the app. And we've pushed already, I think, 3 to 4 updates on the app. They've all been feedback from users. Whether they've reached out to us in the DMs, like, hey, like, guys, this isn't working, or like, why can I not do that? And we've sat down and we're like, oh, like, crap, they're right. I don't know why we didn't think of that. And we turn around to our developer. He added it in and push it in the update. So we have a couple other open items. One specifically buying multiple spots in a break as kind of a shopping cart feature. We do have a couple more features we're going to add as updates. And again, these are things we're receiving from the community, which is great. And we're pushing it to the app as an update. And once we feel this is kind of good to go, we're going to start that conversion to Android. And once we're on Android, our next steps, I'd say, without giving away, I guess, too much details, we're going to continue with different varieties of breaks and also expand into live streams. That's kind of right after the Android move. So we're definitely looking forward to it. Yeah? Might as well. Yeah, so we're going to get into live breaks, John. Pretty simple as it is. So do you know what live breaks are? by any chance, Sean?
To me, I'm probably again. I'm the old man. I'm like the we're talking about boy bands. I'm like the Lou Pearlman of this group. But
Yeah.
if anyone knows who that, but to me, a live break is where you're literally watching the break in real time. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah. So you're pretty close with that, that's kind of what group breaking could happen in the background. We're working in right now. Actually, one of these updates is archiving the group break. So for people that can't make the set time, they're able to go back and watch, what happened, last night and see what cards were pulled for them. But for live breaks, we're trying to integrate a system where, a breaker could just go live. He has different types of wax, whatever products you want, different prices listed, kind of just on a menu feature. And, as a buyer, I could just hop in during, say Justin's, 7:30 live break on Wednesday night. I could hop in and see what he has for sale and just buy one of those products. Justin will rip it. He'll package it up nicely and then ship it out to me.
Okay. All right. See, I refer to those as personals.
Percy's. Yeah.
No,
Percy's.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, but that works too. That way, on a whim, you want to get some product. You want to get see how lucky you are. You can, and it's all you. You're getting everything you see. You don't have and there's no randomness. You don't have to worry about getting the Denver Nuggets. And
it's another thing we see common on Instagram too. They'll go live and list the title as running Percy's all night, and they're just kind of sitting on the live, and they have the wax in the back, and they have a printed out menu, and people are joining the live, and they're like, "What do you want?" And they have to type it. They have to Venmo or Cash App them. The guy rips it. Then after the live stream, asks for the DM, and here we are. We just want to simplify this whole process. The breaker can pre-list. He actually lists out his menu, schedules his live so people get notified. He goes live. Buyers can come in and click a button and see his menu right there, purchase it on spot. It's in the queue for the breaker. He rips it, gets his shipping label, and ships it off. So we think we're also just really simplifying that process and just making it easier and much more enjoyable for both sides.
Well, one thing, again, I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record, but I think it needs to be said. You guys care about the consumer end of things. You like you said, those updates that you did, the 3 or 4 updates you did, were all based on consumer and customer and people's feedback, and that says a lot about Card Crusade and the folks behind it, being you guys, that you care about that. That's I think we've seen that besides the pandemic year, to me, one of the things when we talk about years and you look back and 2021 is going to be the year, besides obviously the pandemic is the number one story, but lack of customer service this year. And the pandemic became just an easy excuse to point to for companies to say, hey, we're shorthanded. Hey, we're, and I'm not saying that wasn't a factor somewhat. I'm not totally blasting them, but it's a convenient excuse to use and fall back upon when you don't offer customer service. All you got to do is go on social media to hear the horror stories. I was on hold for 10 hours. I called up this company. They, I was on hold for 3 hours, then it just hung up. And I won't say what company, but I had to make a call, and I was on hold, and I was at work, and so I said, you know what? I'm not going to hang up. It was hours. I said, I'm just going to put this on. I'm going to plug it in, get it charged, have it on the charger, put it on speaker. We'll play who blinks first, right?
Yeah.
9 hours.
Oh,
9 hours. I stayed on the call. Other calls came in. I'd keep it and switch over and then come back, still on hold.
Wow.
John, I'll give you that's good.
Yeah, that is
just to see. Like, I wanted to be like, all right, I'm not. They want me to hang up. I'm not gonna hang up.
And someone actually answered.
They answered when I was driving home from work. I kid you not. I went into my car, hooked it up there in the Bluetooth, and I was driving home from work. They're like, I almost said, "Well, come, I'll tell you guys when we're not on the air." And I'm like, I'm like, this is 9 hours, and I don't think the person itself, in the person's defense itself, I don't think they knew exactly how long I was actually on hold. They just answered the queue. You know what I mean? And of course they do the typical. I apologize. What can and away went. And I will say the issue I had was fixed. It just took 9 hours of good thing I got unlimited data on my phone.
That was my next question. John. How much did you get charged?
But it almost became a game. I'm like, how long is this going to take? Matter of fact, I thought it would just get discoed before they even answered the phone. So I was I think I even laughed at first when finally someone did pick up and
So,
but to me this year is going to be, besides the obvious, it's not been a good customer service year, and the pandemic is a convenient excuse for these companies to point to. And so the fact when you see a place, in your case, that cares about that and doing the due diligence, I got to give credit where credit's due. And so good for you guys. You said it's coming. It'll eventually be on Android. So Rome, the old adage, right? Rome wasn't built in the day. And that's typical for most apps. It's very rare that a new app comes out on both exactly at the same time. It's more the exception than the rule. And so, and I think too, once you get on Android, I'm an Android guy, and I think that'll open up a lot of possibilities too. I mean, there used to be, I used to be an Apple guy and actually the rest of my house I always have battles with my son. But I like to customize my stuff on my phone. So, but I used to be an Apple guy for many years, but and Apple used to be way out in front in that competition. But that gap's really closed recently.
It absolutely is. It is.
I don't want to make this a business show per se. But when Steve Jobs passed away, some of that creativity seemed to go along with them, and so
definitely.
I kind of switched, but there's a lot more people using Androids. It's not the number one. Apple still holds the belt, but
it's cutting it close. It's cutting it close.
Yeah.
And Justin's actually an Android user too, John. If you didn't know, one of our co-founders is an Android user. Yeah. on an Apple only app, our co-founder is an Android user. Luckily, he's got his work phone.
Well, that'll push you guys to get the
we got to get there ASAP.
That'll give you a little in-house incentive to get that. Get that to market. So, guys, I know I talked to you a little bit about it before we went live. With the interview, we're seeing the big thing in the hobby, right? A lot of these investment groups finding these upstarts and putting seed money. I guess a two-part question. Number one, is this something you're interested in? And number two, any leads there at this point? I know it's really early in the process, so a lot of times you gotta sort of prove yourself, but any plans for that eventually?
Yeah. It's definitely become a lot more relevant, right? The venture capital money, the investors. And I think it's really it's based on like what you want to be as a company, right? If you're fine being, I mean, let's face it, right? You need outside money if you want to grow and scale your company. But if you're fine with like the small, incremental growth for the life of your company, then, by all means, you don't have to raise money. But for us specifically, right, we envision this being a staple in the hobby 5 years from now, right? If you're looking out 5 years, we think a lot of what's done on Instagram you won't see as many transactions on Instagram because it's just not built for it. And that's why you see companies like us, Card Crusade, Whatnot, Loop, Starstock. There's so many different sectors within the hobby. So for us, like Mark said at the beginning, we envision ourselves becoming a full-scale social marketplace, where you can interact with others in the community and also, make transactions, whether it's trading, buying, whatever it is. And so for us, we do see down the road, wanting and needing to raise capital. But for right now, we're still in the process of validating our business model and trying to just grow, right? We think, like I said, Instagram is not the future. And so we want to start that transition and be a part of that change. So if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it
Perfect.
does. And and again, to scale and to get bigger, and it's very common now, like you said, and I mentioned that, it's become more the norm than ever before. And I think sometimes you need to use all those assets and possibilities to get to where you want to go. As long as you can, and I think you guys will be like that, where you don't lose sight of what the consumer wants or needs, and because ultimately they're the ones that drive what you're doing, but I sense from you guys, that's where your mindset is, and that's important. So,
but John, another big thing with that is, we're trying to disrupt something that people are doing already, right? Like whether it's they're just hopping on Instagram and they're messing around and chatting with buddies they've had for who knows how long, or they're taking part in community events, whether it's card shows or whatever. That's where people are doing these kinds of things, right? And with our vision, we're like, hey guys, we're Card Crusade. We want to help you out. It's kind of hard for us to just come into this space, and we get that, right? We get getting that trust from people and getting them onto our platform may be difficult at first, but we don't want that to deter people from trying us out, right? So, I say to Tom and Justin all the time, I like to think of it as like a stray dog, right? A stray dog, you're not going to get them to trust you right away. But once you show them that, listen, I'm here for you, and our commitments to you and providing something that's going to, better you and give you a better quality of doing, this community and every aspect within it. That's kind of our vision here at Card Crusade is, how can we, get the consumer to feel comfortable with who we are and get them to realize that what we're building is really for them, not for us.
Yeah. Well, I think the first step, I think you're doing it is asking what they want and what they like and don't like. And I think people want to be one of two things, right? They want to be heard, or at least know that they have a voice, that they're being listened to. We can't, can't do everything necessarily someone wants. I mean, there's so many working parts and gears and logistics. But if someone knows, hey, they at least listen to me, and some of what I said I know is probably going to happen, I think that goes a long way to that. It's a great analogy with kind of the stray dog too. Just don't offer anybody dog treats.
Yep.
But no, it is a great analogy, because people at first are, I think in general, in all facets of life, right? It's just like, I don't know, what's the angle, if you will, and until you show them what you're really about. And once they know that, then I think that's where that trust gets built upon. So I think you guys, I think I'm the least smartest guy in the quad box here. I think you guys are.
You're up there with us.
You're the most.
I appreciate you saying that, but you guys are smart. That goes a long way in itself, and I'm excited to see where you guys wind up and keep going to. I got to ask you, it wasn't really a part of what I was going to ask you, but thinking about it, New York City guys, Tops is a Brooklyn like me, with the news when that came down that they've lost the baseball license. Now I got it for a
Yeah,
couple more
yeah.
years, but that one really for me hit like a ton of bricks. I've said this on the show too, guys, before I let you, you know, um, Tops is culpable. They dropped the ball a lot, quite a bit themselves. So I don't want to, have a complete pity party. But they also
Mhm.
did baseball for 70 years. I'm sentimental, being from Brooklyn, being a baseball kid. When that news came across my phone, it was a little shocking. Sort of mad at first and sad, and then your emotions kind of cool off, and you're like, all right, I mean, you're still sad. I mean, I hope Tops lives on. I hope maybe whether it's Fanatics buying them or buying the IPs or some form where we can see those 5 letters still on baseball cards. That's my hope. I don't have no say in that.
Mhm.
That's just a wishful thinking type of deal. But just some of your guys' thoughts and what do you think Fanatics is going to be, like it or not? Fanatics is going to be a huge driving force, probably for the next 10 to 20 years
Yeah.
in the hobby. Your kind of your thoughts on that. I know it's a sort of a multi-level question, but now that you're in this space too,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously breakers are breaking products, right?
Mhm.
75% of the products at some point are going to have Fanatics all over it. So
Yep.
just some of your assessments there. Again, it's all speculation, but that's the fun of doing what we do. We can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no penalty for being wrong. So
Mhm. Yeah, no, and it's true, John. It's definitely sad. I remember when we heard about it, we're kind of sitting in our group chat and trying to kind of fact check each other, seeing if it is official because they're just kind of third party sources coming out with it.
yep,
And luckily we do have some time left with it. But like you said, Tops has been an absolute staple in the community, even if it's just baseball cards. They were predominant and still, for the last almost 100 years, they've been producing cards. So to see something like that go, it's definitely tough to swallow. But like you said, Fanatics is taking over. There's a lot to speculate with that. I think the biggest thing about it that people are wondering is how is quality control going to be?
yep,
Um, and that is it's really tough to answer. And hopefully it is good, but we don't know, I guess, until the time comes. And I know people have been saying they're starting to preview some boxes through Fanatics. But for the time being, it's hard to tell. And I guess we can only hope we can see a little bit reminiscence of Tops when they do fully take over. At least just something.
yep,
Yeah, I mean, just my personal opinion. I think I forgot which podcast I was listening to, but they were talking about that deal, and actually, I think it was Lootbox TV on YouTube.
Mm,
yep,
Gin and Juice, those guys are awesome, but they were talking about the quality control. That's like a major thing. Like
yeah.
it seems almost like today, whether it's Panini or Tops, they're just printing and printing cards to get it out. And I think, my personal opinion is part of it's because they know they're losing that deal, in the near future. And so
Mhm.
they're, maybe they're trying to cash in. And like you said, it's speculative, right?
yep.
But I think I don't know if I'm bullish or bearish on the transition yet, because nobody knows how the Fanatics box the quality is going to be, right? That's the major thing
Yeah.
right now, is just you pull a LaMelo, but it's damaged. It has print lines. It's way off centered. I mean, I was seeing crooked cards, like just like cut crooked, and it's like, how does that pass through and get into a box
Yeah.
that costs 3 times as much as it did 2 years ago, right? So that's my biggest thing, is I hope the quality improves. But that's just my take.
Hmm.
Yeah, Mark, anything kind of to close that question out? You want
Yeah,
to?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think we all said it, right? Tops is a staple, right? Tom said it, hit it right on the nose. Um, Fanatics, I do want to give them benefit of the doubt, though. Like, I don't want to go into it. I feel like a lot of people in this hobby at this point are like, it's not Tops. I don't want anything to do with it. I actually have a buddy at work that he was telling me a couple months back, when I was working at my company that, you know, he was distraught. He came over to me in a full blown panic that, you know, this is everything I grew up on, and I'm sure that's kind of how you feel in the same sense. Like, this is everything I have. This is what I've been collecting for years. How can I get to a point where, you know, I could accept this new company where everything I've built my collection on has been Topps, and primarily baseball guys. So for him, it's a big transition, but, you know, being about the hobby and the growth and the expansion and where we want to see this in, you know, 10, 20, 30 years. And, you know, what's important to us too is, you know, transitioning that onto a younger generation. You know, young guys ourselves, I feel like sometimes we feel like we may be the last of it, but it's important that we pass it on to kids even younger than us that are going through it as well, getting them involved. You know, we should be optimistic. We should give them fanatics the benefit of the doubt. I know they make some good jerseys for the NHL. I'm a Rangers fan, so you know,
yes,
I want to give
I'm a Rangers fan too. So
there you
go. Man,
I do want to give them and hopefully they're you know, a good product.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's nothing I can do to change anything. It's sort of like for me, it was almost like a friend dying. You know what I mean? Like someone you grew up with. I'm 40. I'm 49, and you know, they've been around ever since I've been around. They were there before I was, and it's sort of like if the brand dies out, if there's no buyout or any kind of subleasing or agreement, and that's the end of Topps, it's going to be, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a sad day. But at the same time, I'm not getting out of the hobby, so not, you know, it'll be weird because I'm gonna root for Fanatics to do the best they can, because these are products that we're gonna own and buy into and buy.
Yeah,
you don't want them to fail, but it's almost like sort of rooting for someone that killed your friend. You know, like they killed my friend, and now I gotta be a fan of theirs. So
you just held it.
It's sort of a weird space. It's sort of a weird place to be in. But when you really think about it, that, you know, it's a company, it's not. And then, but you know, there are the one thing I've said on this show, guys, too, and this is as someone who changed employment this year myself, and lost their employment. It's a scary thing, and so that's a thing I think about is there's going to be people, very important and smart people with families, that if Topps doesn't continue to make all the products they have at this to this point, some of those people are going to be let go. I hope they land on their feet. If that's going to Fanatics, then great, or somewhere else, that's great. But there's the human aspect to that transition too. And listen, I'm guilty of it too. The first thing we think about is the cardboard and the chrome, right? And we're worried sort of about our hobby and what we're, our cards. But there's that human element when companies lose a contract and have to downsize. So I know some of those folks have been on this show. And so, I think about that. And as someone who went through that this year personally, I think it hits home to me even more. And it's funny, Tommy, hearing you say, like, it was coming in from another source, and I came across on my phone, and on the phone, the notification's only like 1.5 lines, but I read it, and it says Topps loses baseball contract. And so when I first read it, I said, well, maybe it's like a segment, maybe it's something on the smaller end.
Big bobbleheads anymore.
I must be reading that, like, this isn't what I'm first thinking, so I actually obviously opened it up and read the whole piece, and read it 3 times, read it 2 more times, because when it said what sort of I was fearing, and I'm like, I gotta be reading this wrong, I gotta be missing something, and I read it 3 times. It didn't change the 2 times after the first time, and then it really sort of hit home where we're at. And I think, like it or don't like it, doesn't matter. I think it shows, the hobby. It's still a hobby, but it's big business as well. In case for those that were doubting it, you can put those doubts right to rest, because This is a big money deal, rumored to be 10 times more
Mm-hmm.
than Topps ever paid previously. The one thing I really dislike about the deal, the number one thing, guys, is it's reported to be a 20-year agreement. And I just don't, I just think that's too, I don't think Topps should have got 20-year
that's
agreement.
long.
And they did it for
Mhm.
70 years. So that's just way too long to get. You know, and maybe it's coming from a place because I'm married 22 years, and I realize how long
It's a long
20 years
time.
actually is because I'm living it. But like, that's a long time to give to. I mean, that they're very successful and great company, but in this space, as far as producing the cards, this is a new venture for them in a sense to give, in a sense, a new card company. I'm sure there's some small print and fine print and out clauses in that, but just to give someone 20 years, that's too long. I would rather see 5 or 10 years. That way, if this new company in the card space doesn't do a good job or what have you,
Right.
you don't have to, you're not necessarily locked in, like a roller coaster where the bar comes down for 20 years. You can get out. So I don't know. We'll see. Definitely going to be, it's definitely going to be interesting to say the least. And I've talked about it so much at nauseum. And here we're 2 years away from even seeing anything of actual substance.
Exactly.
That's the crazy thing. I don't know how much I've talked about it, and we're still 2 years away. And there's going to be more deals and announcements to come in the next 2 years too. So it's crazy. The hobbies, every week there's some other story. I mean, that one's the big one to me for this year. I don't think anything's going to top that at this point. But just every week, when I first started this show 3 years ago, I'd have to literally what am I going to talk about for an hour, right? And now it's like I have no problem filling the news portion of this show.
You're good at
it. It's crazy the news cycle now in the hobby, but that's where we're at, man. And it's crazy and it's fun. It keeps an old guy like me on his toes. Maybe keeps me a little bit younger than than I normally would be. At least feel a little bit like that. So, but I want to thank you guys for spending some time with me talking about Card Crusade. As always, I give the guests, tell people where to find the app, and so that way they can get it, use it, and all that good stuff. And even if potential breakers want to get in touch, how they may do that as well.
Definitely. So you can find it now on the App Store. You could search this Card Crusade live card breaks, and it'll come up on the App Store. Again, that's for iOS only at this point, but we'll be expanding into Android within the next couple of weeks. And then, hopefully even sooner, right? That all depends on how easy it is for our developers to transition the backbone that we've already created. But then with that, we have our Instagram at Card Crusade. And, like you said, for breakers, if breakers or buyers or anyone wants to reach out, we always have our email open, support at Card Crusade, or you could go to cardcrusade.com and fill out a breaking application and just plug in with us there.
Awesome. And listen, folks, this is not lip service. You heard it with them. They care about the consumer. They care about the product they're putting out there. And that's both sides of the house. If you're a breaker, they care about your needs. And if you're a consumer, they care about yours as well. That's sort of a lost art, it seems like, in the year 2021. But, you guys seem to
we definitely are trying to turn that around, Don, from personal experience on our end, too. So,
well, I appreciate that about you guys. Hey, have a great rest of the year. We'll stay in touch and all that good stuff, and have a good holiday season.
Thank you again for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, John. Really appreciate having guys like us on your platform.
Anytime.
Thanks, John. Have a good one.
You too.
See you.